Greetings from Malaysia, everyone. A very good morning. Welcome to all viewers to the APO's Productivity Talk, a series of discussion with the emerging topics related to productivity. This talk is organized by the Asian Productivity Organization, APO, and today we are joined by Ms. Lynn Johannson, the President of E2 Management Corporation, Canada. I am Abdul Latif, Haji Abu Seman, the Director General of Malaysia Productivity Corporation, MPC Malaysia, and I am moderating this talk from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, while Lynn is joining from Ontario, Canada. Lynn Johnson, thank you so much for being with us today.
I'm very glad to be invited by the APO for this talk to share my experiences on the subject. It's really great to see you, Dato Latif, and greetings to everyone joining this talk.
Thank you, Lynn. We thank you for your time and also your presence, even though we are doing this thing, on a virtual platform. Now, before we start the talk, allow me to briefly introduce Lynn Johannson, who is currently the president of E2 Management Corporation. She has created and led learning programs for universities and colleges in North America. She and her team have developed longer-term learning programs for organizations around the world, such as governments, multinationals, intergovernmental organizations, private sector clients, and professional associations. I've gone through, briefly on your background, Lynn, and I know you have actually authored also, I think, not less than 60 articles and also 4 books on circular economy and also green productivity. Congratulations on the publications that you came up with. So, as I had mentioned, Lynn has written numerous guides for clients on a plethora of subjects centered on environmental management, which includes a textbook, handbook on green productivity, and a comparison pocket guide, Going for the Green, a pocket guide on green productivity. Now, today, we will discuss the topic about leveraging synergies between green productivity and the circular economy for a resilient and sustainable future. The circular economy parallels GP in its desired outcomes, with emphasis on the need to shift from a take, make, and dispose model to one that emulates the efficiency of nature. Green productivity, or GP, is a continuously improving systems approach for enhancing human productivity. It is only by respecting the rules and boundary conditions of nature that environmentally compatible goods and services can be produced in any sector or community. To ensure the progress and future of humanity, green productivity must be supported by the application of appropriate techniques, technologies, and management systems. By definition, a circular economy, in short CE, is a systematic approach to economic development designed to benefit business, society, and the environment. In contrast to the take, make, waste linear model, a circular economy is regenerative by design and aims to gradually decouple growth from the consumption of finite resources. It is not about growing bigger, but it is about growing better. With that, I would like to request our resource person, the speaker, Lynn Johnson, to start with her sharing. Over to you, Lynn.
Thank you very much, Dato Latif. I appreciate APO giving me this opportunity to share my experience on the power and the value of merging green productivity and the circular economy together. I believe that this integration offers any organization, for-profit, not-for-profit, non-governmental organization, any organization, the chance to grow better. I value the 21-year journey APO has enabled for me to explore opportunities to help people in its member countries to learn how to do better, to be more productive by aligning with the laws of nature. I want to state I'm very supportive of APO's green productivity approach. I think it's in my DNA. My father was an engineer who was an avid weekend inventor, and my mother was a naturalist. So it's no surprise that innovation with nature is part of my nature. I also appreciate APO's relentless commitment to innovate and identify practical ideas. My first exposure to the circular economy was in 2013, although I'd been aware of most of the schools of thought or concepts well before, and they were already embedded in green productivity. Today, I would like to share my perspective, the synergy between green productivity and the circular economy and their respective roots in systems. I also want to share some options for APO member countries to grow better through a confluence of these two concepts. In APO's submission to the World Summit on Sustainable Development, it stated, productivity is above all a state of mind. It's an attitude that seeks the continuous improvement of what exists. It's a conviction that one can do better today than yesterday, and tomorrow will be better than today. Furthermore, it requires constant efforts to adopt economic activities to ever-changing conditions and the application of new theories and methods. It is a firm belief in the progress of humanity. In 2005, the Ellen MacArthur Foundation was founded, it was because of Ellen MacArthur's work. She became the first woman to set a world record for the fastest solo nonstop voyage around the world, and this was on her first attempt. Her experience caused her to take a very different look at the resources used in the world. Imagine having to carry all your essential resources on a sailboat, yet ensure that you optimized your speed and performance. This experience led to the development of a foundation, the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, bringing together schools of thought to become super efficient, to grow better. The foundation's vision and mission emphasizes the redesign of the economy to abandon a take, make, and dispose approach. It embraces the productivity cycles of the Earth system upon which life on this planet depends. A circular economy is restorative and regenerative by design. It means that economic activity builds and rebuilds overall system health. Experts recognize the need for the economy to work for big and small companies, for governments and individuals, globally and locally. The circular economy is founded on 3 action-based principles: design out waste and pollution, keep products and materials in use, and regenerate natural systems. The foundation has evolved 5 areas for its work. First, to foster business-led collaboration and disruptive innovation to evolve a circular economy. Second, to acknowledge the crucial role institutions, governments, and cities play in creating and enabling conditions for a circular economy to emerge and thrive. Third, to provide robust evidence of the economic benefits of a circular economy, showcasing its worth to the global economy, based on growing better, not bigger. Fourth, to learn collaboratively, working across ages and disciplines to develop the vision, skills, and mindsets needed to transition to a circular economy, and placing an emphasis on interdisciplinary, project-based, and participatory approaches. And fifth, through systemic initiatives, transform key material flows to scale the circular economy globally, supported by cross-sectoral collaboration and innovation. APO parallels the foundation in every element as a think tank, catalyst, and clearinghouse for information on green productivity for its member economies. In addition, APO is the regional advisor and institution builder, whereas the foundation seeks alliances with entities to fulfill these roles. APO's green productivity approach offers some advantages. For one, the concept of productivity is simple. If you ask someone, do you want to be more productive? Most people would understand the question and agree. If you added a little color and asked, do you want to green your productivity? Well, a little explanation may be needed. It's not a big stretch of the imagination to connect the dots. However, if you were to ask someone who'd never heard of the circular economy before, it would take more explanation. For those of us who were trained as systems thinkers, the circular economy is easy to understand. Most of the elements of the circular economy were incorporated into the APO's handbook on green productivity, but that was 4 years before the Ellen MacArthur Foundation was launched. The handbook explains specific detailed tools and techniques enabling action. These support the schools of thought that formed the circular economy. So while the handbook predated the foundation, the potential for synergy already exists. The handbook is free to download from the APO website. I think what would be useful would be a mapping of how green productivity tools and techniques and the composite of concepts involved in the circular economy merge. There are other initiatives in the market, but most of these are designed for larger, formally managed organizations or listed companies. While each of these offers unique value, they are not designed to help small business. And this is another area where APO has an advantage, as it is proven that green productivity is as useful to those in the boardroom as on the shop floor. In a report published by APO in December 2020, it stated that the foundation has identified the lack of awareness of knowledge of the circular economy as the biggest bottleneck. APO could bridge that gap now. APO has long recognized the need to offer tools and support programs expressly for small business. For example, APO commissioned a pocket guide to explain over 83 terms that are relevant to green productivity, and Dato Latif had mentioned this. Greening on the Go explained each of these terms in a simple manner, and the pocket guide was a complement to the handbook. The pocket guide addressed the traditional 6 questions: what, why, where, when, who, and how. The market was very receptive to greening on the go. In Canada, lawyers shared it with their clients. While not APO's intended market, it shows APO's value extends beyond its member countries. I want to address the need for the synthesis and adoption of these 2 initiatives now. So why is now so important? Well, time is not on our side. We know that human actions have resulted in some of the critical boundary conditions essential for a quality of life for all to be crossed. Quality of life is a tenet of green productivity. In fact, it was the focus of APO's first conference in 1996, appropriately named In Pursuit of Better Quality of Life. While the expression Build Back Better is intended to recognize the US's historic foundation of an entrepreneurial nation, I would personally rather have people focus on Build a Better World, which to me is more aligned with APO's belief in innovation and in the progress of humanity. One of the fatal flaws embedded in current practices in all economies is demonstrated in the fact that we take from nature a material or a service. We make something by heating, beating, or treating it with chemicals, and after a very short life, we throw it away. Well, at least we think we can throw it away, yet anyone can tell you there's no place called away. And burning it simply means we are adding to the greenhouse gas emissions problem that we face and letting intrinsic value go up in smoke. Practices that perpetuate this inefficiency cannot be allowed to continue. I don't think many people realize how inefficient current designs are for products or services. Because we fail to align our designs with nature's, experts state that between 94 and 96% of the materials used in manufacturing durable products become waste even before the product is sent to the market. Some suggest our inefficiency could be as high as 98%. That means the value we gain is between $2 and $6 out of every 100 it takes to make the product. When I first saw these numbers, I thought it was a misprint. However, there are 3 reasons why I began to take these numbers very seriously. 1, I know the experts who stated them to be credible. 2, some small business owners have shared with me their results of optimizing their business process and have in fact eliminated well over 50% of their inefficiencies. 3, these statistics align with the insights offered by experts in the circular economy and confirm the need for a radical shift in resource efficiency. How do we start this shift? We need to think differently. Systems thinking is a critical skill that we need to learn to succeed. We live on a planet that operates as a highly networked, interconnected system of organizations, from the biggest to the smallest. The explosion and convergence of computing, communications, and financial technologies have created a world of instantaneous interdependence. However, if the world's 3 biggest employers cease to exist, while the global balance politically and economically would change, humanity would continue. However, if we lost 1, 2, or 3 species, the story changes. From a whole Earth perspective, after springtails, ants are the most pervasive species. Being outnumbered by springtails, ants have far greater and more varied powers to influence the environments in which they live. Ants control every millimeter of the Earth's land surface wherever they live, which is in most places, according to experts at the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C. Ants are often described as ecosystem engineers, as they perform many vital ecological services. While individually tiny, there is power in their sheer numbers. Ants are an important part of our value chain and are intricately woven in the planetary system. Without them, some experts believe there would be dire outcomes for humans because of the services ants provide that keep our ecosystems healthy. So, I cannot overstate the importance of understanding systems. As noted systems thinker Russell Ackoff stated, a system is a whole that consists of its parts, each of which can affect its behavior or its properties. Each part of the system, when it affects the system, is dependent for its effect on some other part. In other words, the parts are interdependent. No part of a system or collection of a system has an independent effect on it. The parts are all interconnected. Therefore, a system as a whole cannot be divided into independent parts. This means the essential or defining properties of a system are properties of the whole, which none of its parts have. When a system is taken apart, it loses its essential properties. A system is not the sum of the behavior of its parts. It is the product of their interactions. A system of improvement that is directed at improving the parts taken separately means that the performance of the whole will not be improved. That means that the performance of the system depends on how the parts fit together, not how they act taken separately. Why is this relevant? It means that a linear approach, the take, make, and dispose mentality, is counterproductive to humanity and counterproductive to doing better. To gain the highest return by greening the productivity of an organization requires us to understand how the parts of the organizations interact. Achieving the goal of a sustainable future requires that we not only do a better job of working internally, we need to work collaboratively with others. This needs to occur along supply chains, within communities, across countries, and with global partners. We all need to understand how one organization is interdependent on others and how this can foster a global circular economy. Our failure to date to achieve sustainability, our failure to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, our failure to stop the spread of the pandemic, our failure to ensure quality of life for all is due to the fact that we have not embedded systems thinking in our business strategies and in our personal actions. However, people need simple explanations to understand the challenge. Gregory Bateson expressed it in the simplest manner. The major problems in the world are the result of the difference between how nature works and the way people think. But we need to learn the rules by which the planet operates. I'm going to share two examples to demonstrate the power of systems. If I were to contact every car company in the world and ask them to bring their best car part to a factory in Yokohama or Jananapu, what would happen? With all the best car parts at your fingertips, would this make the best car? No. Why? Because none of these car parts were designed to fit together. The car would not run, and at best it would look very strange. Let's think about this now on a personal basis. Each one of us is a biochemical system. We are mobile chemical plants. As parts are interdependent, the way your heart affects you depends on what your lungs are doing. And this depends on what your brain is doing. Each of these organs are interconnected. You cannot separate any of these parts and survive. The most important characteristic that you have is life. None of your parts, none of your organs on their own have life. You have life. Very simply, with life, you can write. But your hand cannot write without the rest of you. So, understanding the critical nature of systems and systems thinking, let's explore now how the power generated by merging green productivity with a circular economy can help us, all of us, grow better. Through collaboration with these two organizations, that would be APO and the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, there's an opportunity, I believe, to weave the tools, the techniques, and the concepts together, adding value through greening circularity, as if we could bring these two streams together to become a powerful river of change. I want to briefly highlight the schools of thought embedded in the circular economy, starting with radical resource efficiency, noting that the Green Productivity Handbook and other materials by APO had most of these well before the Ellen MacArthur Foundation was launched. Resource efficiency starts with the design of a process to recover materials for disassembly, for clean material flows and shared standards, and for remanufacturing. By design with nature, you can cut energy costs, maintain or improve product quality, and cut waste. As APO's original starting point was to enhance productivity as a cost reduction strategy, there's more evidence of its alignment with the circular economy. The next concept is biomimicry, one of my favorites. It has been described as the art and science of mimicking nature's genius, the technology of biology per se, to solve human design challenges. Biomimicry enables us to value nature for what we can learn, not for what we can extract, harvest, or domesticate. In the process of applying nature's genius, we can learn about ourselves, our purpose, and our connection to each other and the earth as our home. These living systems serve as model, mentor, and measure for us. And there are many examples of biomimicry. Probably the best case or best example is Velcro, which is inspired by somebody noticing how birds stuck to their dog's fur 63 years ago. There are new paint formulations that reject dirt when it rains, as leaves do. There are wind turbines that emulate the efficiency of the fins of humpback whales to reduce friction, and buildings that mimic the airflow of termite nests, enabling air cooling at low cost. The estimated value of biomimetic products by 2025 is $300 billion US. And by 2030, $425 billion US. Can you imagine what a boost this could be to any of APO's member countries? And the new, safer, healthy jobs that could result? Can you understand what a difference that could make to some of the environmental challenges you and I currently face? The next concept is the industrial ecology, which is enabled where industries cooperate to reduce their consumption of natural resources and their environmental impact, especially to minimize waste. Perhaps the most famous case study, which started in 1961, is the industrial complex at Kallenberg, which is now called the Industrial Symbiosis. Each industry in the complex benefits from the output of one industry as the input to the next. So it's minimizing the waste throughout. Performance-based businesses focus on product service systems, where utility is provided virtually or as a system, or as a service, really. Think of Zipcar, Lyft, or Airbnb. There's been an explosion of interest in how innovation technology can furnish access to products and assets for short periods of time with low transaction costs in a digital economy. I believe the digital economy will enable more opportunity, reinforcing the instantaneous interdependence of our world. This includes the democratization of capital markets, which means the cost of entry is lowering and expanding investment and opportunities. It is enabling people to invest in startups for mere dollars. By overcoming the traditional barriers to financial capital, being able to direct digital capital into the hands of small business where innovation germinates, for me, this is a game changer. The risk to the individual investor is minimized, and the opportunity can be shared across a wider population. The service-based economy is also associated with the concept of a sharing economy, which has led to community toy libraries and equipment sharing in industrial complexes. Cradle to Cradle is a design philosophy which offers a practical approach to improving quality across many sectors, from urban planning to products and material science. The cradle to cradle concept distinguishes between materials from the green or biological side and the blue or technological side, as materials need to be returned into the system at the appropriate place in the system where they belong. Flow is important, and mixing flows undermines success. The design or redesign of product enables the materials to be correctly placed back into the system, either to be returned to the soil as biological nutrients or reutilized as high-quality materials for new products as technical materials without contamination. I want to address a misconception that some entities have about the circular economy. It is not just a rebranding of recycling. Simply trying to recycle a product at the end does not result in real change. Recycling is an incomplete loop in which leakage or loss is very high, especially for low-value, short cycle items. Even 90% recycling for a product considered high value like aluminum cans means losses are quickly compounded if the cycle is a few weeks or months from the foundry to a recycling bin. Time and distance matter. And for plastics, it is especially challenging as a single service items tend to be littered and are the cause of multiple problems. Natural capital can be defined as the world's stocks of natural assets, which include geology, soil, air, water, and all living things. It is from this natural capital that humans derive a wide range of services, often called ecosystem services, and these make human life possible. But humans, we do not do a great job of managing natural capital. Humans take from nature as if it's free because there's no immediate invoice to be paid. One of the drivers that led to the concept of natural capital was an effort to make nature visible on balance sheets, to recognize its importance as an asset. Putting a value on nature was intended to enable economists in the financial world to integrate thinking about the value of nature on the balance sheet. It represents a valiant effort to get the financial world to recognize just how valuable the global economy is to humanity. I confess I am challenged with the idea of accounting for the value in this way. My perspective is that without nature, there is no global economy. If nature as we know it is rendered completely unstable, this undermines the future of humanity. The financial world needs to understand how expensive it would be to operate, if not impossible, if an ecosystem was irreversibly damaged. I want to conclude with some ideas to build a better world through collaboration. I think there's an opportunity to enhance the synergy between green productivity and the circular economy. I think of the current situation as two decks of cards being shuffled together. The decks integrate, but they have not achieved the efficiency that is possible and needed. I think a detailed mapping of the two concepts would be useful. The concepts integrate, but it's not a winning hand yet. Experts from the green productivity and the circular economy recognize the need to think and apply innovations based on systems. Developing learning materials to explain practical tools and methods to help companies, policymakers, and other stakeholders reach their circular economy ambitions supported by green productivity would be valuable. For example, evolving the Pocket Guide into an app and aligning the respective terms, I think would be well received by the market. What can APO and the Ellen MacArthur Foundation do to advance synergy? Well, both have roots in different parts of the world. Maybe a formal meeting to foster collaboration. Perhaps a virtual conference could be considered. APO offers training to its member countries. Perhaps a program that specifically merges green productivity and the circular economy might be valuable. Make the integration a winning hand. And what can you do to help this collaboration, to help citizens, cities, companies, and governments grow better? If you are a business owner, as the person most knowledgeable about your business, review the case studies offered by both entities and determine how you can innovate. Share your experience and insight with both organizations. Help to develop a library of case studies to showcase how circular economy concepts can be implemented using green productivity tools and techniques, particularly those that are relevant to small business. If you are an institution, city, or government, examine how you can shift your own operations to a circular economy, green the productivity of your organization, and inform your networks of this opportunity that this collaborative approach offers. Provide investment opportunities to business, starting with the smallest business to enable their shift. The digital economy offers opportunities to make this viable regardless of the size of the organization. If you have other ideas, please share them with the APO. I hope these ideas inspire you, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Lynn, for the insightful presentation. Very informative. I myself learned a lot, all right, in the presentation you have made, including the slides that you have shown. Now, we learned that GP can be seen as an enabler of CE, circular economy, with its tools, techniques, and methodologies acting in a complementary manner to support the concepts of CE. If you can increase the productivity of a nation, you can improve its economy. Research in productivity nations shows a high variation, and the same is true of companies. Variation in productivity is caused by differences in technology, particularly in the adoption of innovation and management, which addresses how these innovations are integrated into the business, the knowledge, the skills, and the willingness to adopt. From a CE perspective, it starts from the perspective of the changing the economic view, where innovations have profound consequences for productivity, employment, education, money, and finance. It can induce a shift in taxation and public policy, the latter being an opportunity also enabled by GP. Now, Lynn, allow me to proceed with the first question, which I have on my list. Right? I have a number of questions. I'll start with the first one. Why, as a society, we have been largely failed in realizing, or at least relatively late in incorporating the value of natural assets in our balance sheet, in the way we live, produce our goods. If you may share with us your view on this, please, Lynn.
That's an excellent question. And I think I'm going to refer back to the quote I used from Gregory Bateson, who is a gifted systems thinker and a great communicator. The problems we face in the world are the difference between how nature works and how people think. As a species, we are convincing ourselves of a perilous myth. We think that just because we've shown some experience or some abilities to be a tool maker or tool user, that we can somehow ignore the laws of Mother Nature. And some people may think this is a bleak situation. It's because we have so many environmental problems and we're trying to compartmentalize things in a linear fashion. And we have blinders on to things that we don't think are immediately in front of us. But that doesn't work. I want to come back to a concept that I gave to a client years ago. I wrote an article where I presented Mother Nature as president of the Whole Earth Corporation. And I had her address the challenges that humans presented to her as if she was the CEO of the corporation. And I was amazed at the response we got, or actually my client got. I think if I could I'm going to call upon her experience. She has been running a company for 3.8 billion years. And with all that R&D behind her, she has understood what we have to do differently. And I'm going to prevail upon her to share her 5 simple terms and conditions of a contract that if you want to use her services, i.e. the ecosystem services, this is what you have to do. First of all, you have to minimize your impact by designing with nature. And this aligns, of course, very closely with the tenets of biomimicry and cradle to cradle. It says everything has an impact. 2, there is ultimately only one supplier of energy services. That's the sun. And we don't want to do anything that's going to weaken your access to that. 3, you have to deal with her distribution network. Her green productivity mechanism is called photosynthesis, which provides the energy and the food for as sources for all life. So we have to respect that supply chain, and that includes the ants to the elephants, because they all play a part in keeping the planet healthy. 4, all her products and services are customized, which is why biodiversity and diversity is important and has to be respected. And the 5th term, all production is based on energy that emanate from 2 subclauses. First, energy is not created or destroyed. It only changes form. So there is no throw it away. And as no transformation is 100% efficient, you have to make sure that anything you do has to optimize to follow that performance. I think we have the basic knowledge. I think we just have to learn to apply it, but not just on a specialty basis. I think we have to learn more from nature, and the more we understand its abundance, the better we will grow.
Yes, Lynn, well explained. Thank you very much for the answer given on the question I posed to you earlier. Now, my question, the next question, the second question, is related to this worrying problem related to plastic pollution. Right? People talk about disposing this material, and we do have problems. It takes time. Now, plastic pollution is perhaps among the biggest environmental problem in our time. At your estimation, Lynn, is it possible to disconnect entirely our dependence on plastic? With the global efforts in combating the plastic pollution, do you have an optimistic assessment on our war with plastic? Over to you, Lynn.
Another very good question. Plastics is a challenge for a number of reasons, but part of the problem, I think, is plastics is a very encompassing term. I think where we have many of the problems with our plastics are aligned with the problems we're facing with the fossil fuel industry. And I know we like to separate problems apart, but the plastics problem we face is part of the system of problems that we've created for ourselves. We live in a system and there are system problems, plastics has created problems. Probably the most visible one of this is the plastics litter issue. And that relates back to single-service plastic items. People, unfortunately, litter. And when you have a single-service item, it's very easy to do that. And then you have items washing into the ocean. And once they get into the ocean, the problems just compound, because not only is a problem of a visual problem, it's a problem for nature. Everybody knows those horrible pictures where you see a turtle and its head is through a six-pack ring, or you see, unfortunately, animals that have died, and when they do an autopsy, they are filled with plastic. But the plastics also break down, and when the plastics break down, they become microbeads. And those microbeads are becoming everywhere in the world. I don't know if they quite compete with ants, but they're getting close. I think society is going to come back and deal with plastics very harshly. I know there are regulations coming out every day. There's increasingly nonprofits who are doing some very interesting things. They collect ocean plastics. HP, for example, has a project, not in Asia, but they have a project to collect plastic before it gets into the ocean, and it is recycled into their cartridges. I think that the plastics industry, though, has not done a good job of dealing with this issue. I've been involved with recycling. Well, I was involved with recycling for a 25-year period. And I have to say that the plastics industry chose to let society deal with its problem and not addressed it in a very efficient manner. So that's going to change.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you for your response on the issue with regards to this plastic, the pollution. Now, can we move on to the next question? The third question. The green movement, such as efforts to redesign the way we produce our products, would require more reliance on innovation, which may require expensive investment. What the global community could do to ensure the participation of the developing economies despite high cost of investment on innovation? What is it that we can do as a global community, Lynn? Would you kindly respond to that, please?
Certainly. I'm always a bit hesitant to try to say from a developed country perspective what developing countries should do. But I think there's a huge opportunity here with the democratization of capital. When you see, I was at a fintech conference last week, and the people that were talking about how they're moving digital currencies around and cryptocurrencies is enabling the transfer of finance into small business. I think in particular, this is an incredible opportunity for us, because just as nature starts from the ground and grows up, to really regrow or to help an economy grow, I think you have to get the money into the small business. I know, if I could use Canadian statistics, 95% of businesses in Canada are in companies with less than 50 people. That's 95%. That means only the big guys and the medium-sized guys occupy a space of 5%. So just like you want to start a forest, you want to foster the opportunity for small business. And so we need to get the money, I think, into the hands of small business. They are very creative. They have to be, because they don't have a lot of money, they don't have a lot of time. And so they have to figure out ways of being very innovative. So that's where if I was president of Asia, that's where I'd put my money.
Okay, interesting, Lynn. Now, Lynn, the next question, which is really of interest, I personally, this has got to do with biomimicry. I hope I have pronounced, the word correctly. I think it's got to do something about, measurement, with regards to nature. All right, something got to do with that. Now, biomimetics has generated a biomimetic promise of sustainable design solutions. What all relevant stakeholders should do in materializing such promises?
I think, first of all, we all have to go back to school. I think we have to learn more about the rules that Mother Nature operates the planet by. There, to me, is so much opportunity for us to do a better job by aligning with nature. I can think of, for example, Paul Stamets is a mycologist, and he has figured out how to apply mushroom technology to solve environmental problems. For example, he has used mushroom spores to deal with hydrocarbon spills. He has come up with a way to use mushroom spores to deal with carpenter ants, and for an incredibly low cost. Mother Nature, as I said before, has 3.8 billion years of R&D under her belt. And the more we learn how to understand how to go with the flow, how to emulate what she's doing, the lower our costs will be. I mean, sunlight, that's energy, that's free. We just have to figure out how to do a better job of capturing it. But there are so many different relationships that nature operates that lets us see these things. I think we just have to work together to do that in a better way.
Thank you, Lynn, for sharing your thoughts, on that. Now, my next question, I think all of us at the moment in it. This has got to do with the COVID-19 pandemic, which is really creating a mess globally, and its ramification with sustainable development. Now, this raging pandemic, which has also led to this restricted movement and all that, with its implication on our lives, is good momentum to renew our commitment for a greener world, a more sustainable life. How would you relate, with this topic that we are discussing today with regards to the COVID-19 pandemic, which is creating, a mess in our global life?
Yes, lockdown. Mother Nature's cheapest line of defense of dealing with an invasive species or a species out of control is viral. So I think what she's doing is she's giving us fair warning that she's not happy with us. This is not the first time we've had pandemics in the world. In 1306 to 1310, I believe it was, there was the Black Plague, and it literally took millions of people off the map. And we have unfortunately lost many souls to this round of pandemic. I think the message is we have to do a much better job. We actually have the basic knowledge. We have to start applying it. And I think that an excellent way for us in this conversation today is let's work together to bring green productivity tools and knowledge with the circular economy. Let's get ourselves to start doing a much better job of meeting the laws of Mother Nature so that we don't get ourselves in her bad books again. but I think the opportunity is huge.
Thank you again, Lynn, for your answer and sharing your thoughts on that question I asked. Now, I think this would be my last question, for this session, and I would like to get your explanation on this matter. In your view, what are the real and practical benefits of this confluence of GP and CE concept for business entities such as the SMEs sector?
I want to pick up on something I talked about a little bit earlier, where I use statistics from Canada, where 95% of the business population is in companies with 50 people or less. Those are employer-based companies. If we can get our policies and our investment strategies to help small business, that to me is critical, because it would be like growing a forest, or in enabling a forest to grow from the ground up. While in Canada, if I use those statistics just because I'm familiar with them, we have about 1.2 million legally constituted employer businesses. Again, the 95% with 50. But there's another whole layer of small businesses that are one-person operations, and there are another 1.2 million in Canada. And I have to say that my research over the last couple of years, those kinds of parallels exist in every country around the world. Well, maybe not Monte Carlo, but that's different. I think that if we focus our strategies and our efforts on getting the resources and the right knowledge tools to small business, their advantage is they can turn on a dime, in the sense that they are, if you give them the right information, they act very quickly. In a very large company, you could spend months trying to convince the right person, or get to the right person to convince them that they need change. In a small business, you have to make one phone call. It takes you 3 minutes. You give them the right information, and the boss moves on it.
Now, Lynn Johannson, thank you very much, for sharing your valuable experience, insights, and also some of the interesting thoughts that you have shared with us over the past 1 hour. Now, I believe that the messages that you have put forward, shared with us, are beneficial to all of us, especially the viewers which are following this session online. Now, I would like to invite, as we are not approaching the end of this session, I would like to invite your good self to conclude the talk by conveying your final messages to all your viewers. Please, Lynn.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, Dato, Latif, and APO for this opportunity. I want to say that I am very privileged to be thought of as an expert. I think of myself, though, as a lifelong learner, and I have a personal and professional commitment to innovation. And I hope that what I've shared today inspires people in all APO's member countries to think about the opportunity that they have to do better and to work with others to achieve that. And again, thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you again, Lynn. It is really an honor for me to have met you, even though online, and also to listen to your insights, and happy to moderate, this session, a talk given by your good self. Now, to the viewers to this session, please leave your questions and comments about the topic we are discussing today on our YouTube channel, and we will try to get back to you as soon as we could with the feedbacks. Now, thank you again, Ms. Lynn Johnson, for your presence, your time, and sharing all your thoughts. I look forward to meet up with you again. I know you have been to Malaysia once, but they must have been, some time back, twice. Right? You have been here, But we would like to, welcome you again to Malaysia, especially. We look forward. You did mention, some of the names. I think especially Madam Nick Zainia.
Yeah.
All right. I think there will also be other officers, especially MPC Malaysia, which is the MPO for Malaysia. We look forward to have you again on board. So again, Lynn, thank you for your time. Thank you again, for all your thoughts that you have shared. And I would like to wish also everyone, including our viewers online, the APO secretariats and officials, thank you again. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay productive. Thank you, and
Thank
have a
you.
good day. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
See you, Lynn, again.